But when it all happened, I was filming away, so there was, I'm like the rock of the family, especially when it comes to times where it's like family is really needed, and now I think I'm back.
This story never really went away. It just faded into quiet. And that silence is what makes it more unsettling. Now there are rumors that Quincy Brown could be working on a documentary-style project centered on Kim Porter's life. And allegedly 50 Cent may be involved. If that's true, this is no longer casual talk. This feels like a reset on a story many believed was finished. This update lands harder for people who felt Kim Porter's situation was brushed aside too quickly because when 50 Cent released his Diddy documentary, it barely touched the questions connected to Kim. That silence didn't ease public concern. It increased interest. The internet never stopped discussing it. It simply became low-level speculation. Until now, attention is circling back to Kim's oldest son Quincy Brown, possibly partnering with 50 on a series-style release that places Kim at the center. That rumor alone sent social media into overdrive. People still remember Quincy appearing at Diddy's trial for a single day. One appearance, then total absence. Some saw that as loyalty. Others viewed it as calculated. What really stands out is how Quincy carried himself. No emotional outbursts. No public defense statements. No chaotic online moves. He stayed measured. He stayed distant. And that separation alone kept him clear of the turmoil tied to Diddy's name. Another detail people often point out is this. Unlike others connected to lawsuits and accusations involving Diddy, Quincy has never been publicly linked to wrongdoing. His reputation has stayed intact. That's why many see him as different even though Diddy raised him. Now the conversation is changing. Some believe Quincy's silence wasn't weakness. It was intention. Like he stayed close long enough to protect his sisters, watched everything unfold, and avoided getting pulled into the flames while everything around him burned.
I don't mean to be the super big brother dad, but this is nuts. I might record the whole ride. I might run out of storage.
I forgot my license is in my car.
Oh, you need that. What'd you get?
My license.
And what do you need to drive?
So what happens when that silence finally cracks and the truth gets room to breathe? Because once Diddy was taken into custody, the entire tone shifted. With Diddy now locked up, many believe Quincy may finally be in a position to tell the story on his terms. Not as chaos or accusation, but as a structured account of Kim Porter's life, the official timeline, and the unresolved questions that never stopped following her name. And if 50 Cent is truly involved, that changes the scale. Because 50 never enters a story quietly. He comes to disrupt. He brings pressure. He brings visibility. He forces discussions people try to avoid. Quincy has always moved differently than Diddy's other sons. People noticed it during the biggest controversies and hardest moments. He wasn't chasing attention or feeding the drama. That's why extreme theories started spreading with claims he was protected or secretly playing both sides. But when you look at confirmed details, most of those ideas fall apart. Especially since he was seen standing with the family during the trial. That's why many are now dismissing those narratives as just speculation. But here's where it becomes serious. If Quincy truly steps forward, if this documentary actually happens, and if the truth is laid out, it could change everything.
Change everything.
An enemy that has a position of influence in your child's life, and knowing that that person sends you notes and messages every now and then, if you don't do this, if you don't do that.
And it all circles back to one clear fact. Quincy stayed almost completely silent when it came to his mother. No extended interviews. No public accusations. No emocional viral moments. Just distance. And now the timing is what has people watching closely. Because if a full documentary is truly being developed focused on Kim, the tension behind the scenes, the unanswered questions surrounding her story, then this stops being rumor. It becomes a coordinated release with real structure and attention. And once a spotlight like that turns on, the internet doesn't look away.
Quincy's missing.
Quincy's missing. Oh. And lastly,
After he was questioned by the Fed.
after.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was in witness protection.
On November 15, 2018, Kim Porter was found unresponsive inside her Los Angeles home. A family member reportedly discovered her in bed. And by the time emergency crews arrived, there was nothing they could do. She was only 47 years old. And the news sent immediate shock through the public.
A shocked and devastated Diddy spotted at the home where his ex suddenly and mysteriously died. Her good friend Kimora Lee Simmons appearing inconsolable at the house, 47-year-old Porter's body found after a desperate call to 911.
EMS 14, respond with engine 76 on scene of the car.
The official ruling later listed lobar pneumonia as the cause and classified it as a natural death. On paper it appears simple, but publicly the timeline is what people continue to question. Reports say she first complained of a sore throat around November 7th. By November 12th, she reportedly developed a fever. Things progressed rapidly, and that sudden decline is why doubts still linger. Reports also state she tested negative for both flu and strep, and was given antibiotics and treatment. Her family shared that by November 14th, she seemed to be improving. Her fever dropped, and she even felt well enough to receive a massage that night. That detail is one people always return to.
And it's in the this is in the documentation. Shout out to paperwork. He looked in the paperwork and it said Kim received a massage for about an hour when she's supposed to have full-blown pneumonia. Who gives somebody a massage when they got pneumonia? And do we know whether she used that baby oil or not for that massage?
It makes people question how severe her breathing issues truly were. Why allow someone into the home in that condition? Another frequently mentioned point is that the massage therapist was never clearly identified publicly, which opens space for speculation, fair or not. The coroner also stated Kim had no known history of drug or alcohol abuse, and no serious medical conditions. By most accounts she was considered healthy, which only deepened the questions. Shortly after, one of the first people to challenge the official conclusion was Kim's ex and Quincy's biological father, Al B. Shore. He repeatedly said he saw Kim shortly before her passing, and she didn't seem critically ill. Over time he became more vocal that he didn't believe the official explanation matched what he personally...
I mean, it is what it is. I went through many, many years of scrutiny and being dragged face first on the concrete, being called.
In July 2020, he shared an older video of himself crying and added a caption describing how painful it was to receive the news. In that same post, he suggested he didn't believe events unfolded the way they were publicly described. He tied that belief to how strong and healthy Kim appeared around that period, especially during recent family celebrations for Quincy. He ended the post with a hashtag many interpreted as a subtle critique of the public tributes that followed. The post was later removed, with Al saying Quincy reached out because it was emotionally triggering. But even after deleting it, he didn't fully retreat from his stance. He continued to imply something didn't add up. Once the post disappeared, social media filled in the gaps. Some claimed Quincy was pressured. Others speculated there was an effort to control the narrative or distance Quincy from his biological father. None of that has been confirmed, but it showed how fast narratives shift when people suspect unseen influence. Throughout it all, Al remained firm. He signaled he wouldn't soften his position just to make others comfortable. Then in November 2021, he posted an old photo of himself with Kim and Quincy and reignited the discussion. He referenced a message he claimed Kim once sent him saying life imitating art, art imitating life, and layered it with more implications. He suggested she shared things privately that the public never knew and framed it as her dealing with something serious behind the scenes. According to him, he urged her to contact authorities. In the comments he went further, saying people wouldn't believe what she went through without him explaining it directly. That's why the post hit hard, not because of detail, but because it pointed toward something larger he wasn't fully stating. Then things shifted again. Not long after, Al was hospitalized due to a medical emergency that was never fully explained publicly. He later said he collapsed unexpectedly at the studio, and doctors were shocked by how many serious issues appeared at once. What followed was intense. Al said he spent nearly 2 months in a coma. When he woke up, he explained he had undergone major procedures including an organ transplant, blood transfusions, intubation, and time on a ventilator. It was life-threatening and fans were deeply concerned. After that, the internet began comparing timelines and building theories. Those comparisons proved nothing, but they showed how quickly suspicion spreads when people already believe parts of a story are missing. After all of that, one thing stayed consistent. He never went silent. He kept posting. He kept implying. He continued speaking as if he believed Kim's story was never fully represented officially. Over time, pressure around his claims grew, until larger media outlets gave him a platform earlier this year. Al sat down for an interview tied to his memoir, and the clip spread quickly. At one moment, he looked straight into the camera and said, "Do you believe me now?" That's when things escalated again. In that interview, he repeated that he never accepted the natural death ruling as it was presented publicly. He also suggested his own health crisis followed him, speaking out not as proven fact, but as his personal belief. He implied something changed in 2022 after he became more vocal. Viewers can't confirm that from clips alone, but once statements like that are recorded, they become fuel. Social media clipped it, debated it, and the conversation around Kim grew louder. Because now it wasn't only fans questioning things. It was a public figure openly rejecting the official story. It remains unclear where things stand between Al and Quincy, or whether Al is involved in the rumored documentary. But many hope there is alignment, because Al has consistently pushed for deeper answers. That matters if a documentary is truly moving forward, because a project like this doesn't need accusations to disrupt everything. It only needs to present timelines, contradictions, missing details, and unanswered questions, and let the public decide. That's also why the possible involvement of 50 Cent keeps attention high. Whether people like him or not, he's known for pulling buried industry stories back into view, especially when power, image, and silence are involved. That ties into the larger discussion. Control. Online conversation often describes Diddy's world as tightly managed. Who spoke? Who stayed quiet? Who stayed close? Some past accounts describe Kim's relationship era as complicated and heavily controlled. That perception is part of why people continue questioning how much influence existed behind the scenes long before recent headlines, and now with Quincy potentially stepping closer to the conversation through a documentary that may soon come to light.